If you have seen any of my recent professional photos and thought, wow, her makeup looks great, it's all thanks to this girl right here. My guest today is someone who I love to see for all my glam needs. She is a self-taught makeup artist with incredible talent, a studio owner, social media influencer, and on top of all that, she's a wife and amazing mom to 2 children. Not only has she built a super successful brand and business in the makeup industry, but also on social media with thousands of followers on both Instagram and TikTok. Today, we will be talking all about how to grow your brand and or business on social media platforms. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the show, Noelle.
Hi, guys.
Thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Of course, I'm super excited.
Yeah, I feel like you and I could literally have like a 3-hour podcast because we click so well every time we're together. But we're going to try to just really get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Because I originally first started following you by being a wedding photographer, and you did makeup and hair for a wedding that I did.
I thought it was with Shannon, but it was before that.
It was before that, yes.
I love it.
Yeah, because I can't even remember where it was. I want to say Westwind Hills. I was shooting a wedding, and you did the makeup and hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, every girl here looks stunning.
I love it.
So I followed all of you, and not only did I then become a serial client.
Yeah, I love it. Those are my favorite. I love returning clients.
Yes. I feel like everything that I do, I'm like, Noelle, hey, I have a photo shoot.
Should I get my makeup done? I should.
Yeah. But then I also, follow you for other things now too, because you have such a strong presence on social media. So I wanted to have you on to talk about, building a business, a brand, or just becoming a social media influencer, because obviously you have nailed it.
It's been a wild ride. I think it's so cool, the power that social media has now. Like, makeup has always been my number one thing, but the way that social media has catapulted that career is incredible, and how quickly too.
Oh, absolutely. And so explain a little bit about your story, how you got into doing makeup and then building your brand from there.
So I always say, in like friend groups of girls, there's that one girl who just does everyone's hair and makeup before they go out, does their, girlfriend's hair and makeup for homecoming, prom. That was very much me. I will say
everybody needs a friend like
I didn't
that.
do it well, but I did do it. And I think I want to say I was 8 years old when I told my dad and my stepmom, like, I'm going to be a makeup artist. And my dad was like, okay, like whatever you say, he was not super encouraging about that. I think every parent like wants their child to have like a, clear perception of like a real career, or I should say predictable, not real. I don't think real is the right way to describe that. But when you hear your child wants to do a job that's not really heard of, you're kind of like,
like little girl dreams.
Yes.
Oh, you want to be a makeup artist.
An actress. That is always scarier, especially now as a parent. If I had heard, my child say that, I probably would have been like, maybe like a teacher or a doctor, So he was not super perceptive about that. And I tried a couple times to become a makeup artist, I would say 3 or 4 times, and just got really discouraged. I got pregnant during I shouldn't say during, that's a horrible way to describe that. Right after I toured Paul Mitchell, I was going to go to cosmetology school. I'm like, I'm doing it. I found out that I was pregnant, and I was like, how am I going to
That changes things.
Through school. Yeah, with a baby. So then I was like, you know what, we'll put it on the back burner. And then a bunch of my friends were like, can you do my makeup for this? Can you do my wedding? And I'm like, okay, I kept trying to like ignore this makeup dream that I had. And I feel like, when you have something that you really want to do and you try and like push it down, it shows back up, and I feel like that kept happening. So I tried again. I started doing makeup out of my apartment bathroom. I had clients straddling the toilet. I was charging like $20 a face. It was a mess, but it was working for me at the time and people were loving it. So started that way. And then like a slow season came and I got kind of like, I can't support my family like this. So I kind of, stopped. And then I met Joy Lovelace, and I shouldn't say I met her. I saw her on social media, and I was just in awe of what she was doing. And I'm one of those people who, like, if I've decided I'm going to pursue something, I'm doing it. I saw what she was doing, and I'm like, you can be a makeup artist and make 6 figures. You can be a makeup artist and support your family. You can be a makeup artist and a mom. You can do that. And she was the first person I saw in St. Louis that was doing that. And so I immediately messaged her and was like, how do I do what you do? And the rest is really history. But
wow.
It's
And
crazy.
so were you, as you were coming into makeup artistry, were
Mhm.
you building your brand at the same time, or did that kind of come after you joined with Joy
Yeah.
and started doing it then?
I don't think then I realized the importance of a brand. Like for me, it was just like, this is fun. This is artistry. I love making people feel beautiful. But I don't think I understood, like, I don't want to say necessarily the hard work, but like, there's so many makeup artists, you know, and even in a city like St. Louis where there's not a ton of makeup opportunity, there's hundreds of thousands of us. Like, what really sets you apart is your brand. And you can't really build a brand without the skill. And I don't think my skill was where, one, I didn't know I needed to be a brand, but two, I didn't have the skill to where a brand I don't think would have made like a huge difference. So I feel like once I got the tools to know what I was doing, and then I realized Joy is a brand. Like Joy's getting married and she's like kind of, I think she's keeping Loveless as her last name because that's her brand.
Oh,
you
I don't know how she could
She might
change
be
it.
hyphenating or something, but she is her own brand. Like Joy
Mhm.
is very much like a well-known makeup name in St. Louis. And I was like, wow, it's incredible how, like we'll be in Target and we'll hear people on Joy's Instagram, like going through her like list of things she's recommending. We're
Oh
like, we
my
can hear
gosh.
Joy's voice in the other aisle.
That's
So
incredible.
she really, reiterated like, yeah, I want to help you. I want you to join this team, but you are your brand. You're an individual. And I think it was probably 2 or 3 years into my career that I was like, okay, I'm going to, I'm a part of this team, but it is important that I differentiate myself from them once I felt like I was skilled enough to do so. So,
Mhm. Well, yeah, and you've done great on social, like building that on
Thank you.
social media.
Yeah.
And so if you can touch a little bit like on how you should start establishing a brand on social media. Like what are like the key first steps you would say?
So I think what's really, really beautiful and extremely annoying about social media is that it's all random. It's all by chance. Everyone wants to talk about the algorithm, the time you post, how often you post, how frequently you show up, and all these things. And while all of that matters a little bit, it's so random. I think I had like 200 followers and I was getting like 7 likes on every TikTok, but I was posting like 10 a day, just having fun. And all of a sudden I got like 3 million views on a TikTok out of nowhere. And what I was teaching, this is a big realization that I had, was what I was teaching in that TikTok were things that me as a makeup artist thought were so obvious. Like, duh, when you put foundation on a sponge, it should be evenly coated, right?
Mhm.
But that's not duh to everybody. So it was life-changing on TikTok to people who didn't know things like that. So my first video was the 4 mistakes that you're making when you're applying your foundation. And it just popped off. And after that, I got like 7 or 8,000 followers on Instagram. So that was another thing, is if you blow up on
from TikTok, they
Mhm.
kind of transferred over. Okay.
They do that I don't know that it works that way for every industry. But for me personally, building a following on one app really translated over to the other. Like it really shifted. There's so many differences between those two apps and trends are constantly changing. So it does get a little confusing. But I think my number one piece of advice is to not get discouraged, because like I had a video on Reels the other day get like, I would say 150,000 views. The next one got 5,000. And I think it's like really easy to get in your head like, now I don't want to create. Now I don't want to show up. Like
Mhm.
I spent 2 hours editing that video and I got 3 likes. Like that is annoying, but I think, if I had stopped that, I would have never built this. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is that there is no formula. Do what's fun, do what's manageable, do what feels right. Set aside time for it, but like don't let it overwhelm you, because it's not fun that way. Then it
Mhm.
feels like a chore instead of like it's fun. So I just say, who cares about the likes, the views, the follows? None of that matters. Show up and people will remember you,
Oh, yeah. And it sounds like consistency too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you said, just show up constantly,
Yeah.
no matter if you're talking to 2 people or 2,000.
100%. I was actually talking to the girls on my team about this the other day, because they often ask me like, can we have a little social media like crash course with you, or can you help me edit this? And each one of them, I always say, has a different, I shouldn't say like issue, but like a thing holding them back from posting. And I think one of the girls is discouraged by not getting immediate validation and likes and follows.
Mhm.
And the other one just feels like it's so hard to create content. And then one of her videos went viral and it was like 3 seconds with like 2 words on the screen or something. It was
Wow.
like so simple. And I'm like, that's the problem, is we're overthinking it and we care way too much.
Yeah.
Like obviously you don't want to post bad quality things. But if you like it, if you loved your work, if you felt like that piece of information changed your life, if you think it's aesthetic or it's beautiful, post it. You know, just
don't
post
hyper
it.
focus on the reaction necessarily.
One of the biggest things, actually, her name is Paige Sparks. She's a lawyer here. But
Yeah,
do
I
you
know
follow
Paige.
her?
No, I know her personally. Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, I've met her through friends. So
I love
yeah.
it. I
Hey
saw
Paige,
her-
if you're listening.
I love it. She actually told me this at a social media event, and it totally changed my perspective. She said, "Why do you have anything in your drafts? What are you saving that for?
Wow.
Just post it." And I was like, "Oh, I had like 200 videos in my drafts." I'm like, "That's so dumb. Why did I do that?" So I sat there one night and I went through and I uploaded like 30 videos in a row just to get them out of my drafts, and then deleted the ones that I didn't want. But she's like, "What are you waiting for? Is there like a magic time to post?" I'm like, "No, I just didn't know if it was good enough." She's like, "If it's not, it will flop. Just post another one."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." That it sounds so simple, but it's life changing.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, really.
Yeah.
Wow. So I when someone comes on your page, you know, like I did, they can immediately look at your content and say, "Wow, this is gorgeous. I want this. She knows how to do makeup." And really, I mean, it's everyone at the artist edit, honestly. And so you can tell you're a talent right away. And I feel like that's why clients are like, "Yes, like I want to book now."
Yeah.
But I feel like you can also tell that you are putting thought into your content as you're posting. And so like with your client photos, I feel like every photo you take, it just really showcases your work perfectly.
Yeah.
And so is there something specific that you do to each like client photo once you're done with makeup that, you know, changes the game for you?
That is such a good question. I love answering these questions. So this is something that specifically for me in the beginning of my artistry, one, like I said, the skill wasn't there, but even if it had been there, I was not showcasing my clients in a way. Joy and I were actually just like laughing at my client photos from, I would say like 6 or 7 years ago. But when you're not thinking about your client feeling comfortable and confident. So like one example is I see a bunch of makeup artists take their phone. They don't really even ask the client like, "Hey, are you comfortable with a picture?" They just immediately put the phone right over their face. And as a client, I would feel like I was getting like a mugshot.
You're like, whoa.
So then you're like, one, you don't know if the client's comfortable with a photo. You don't know their angles. I always ask, "Do you have a preferred side that you'd like me to take your photos on?" Because some people, like, this is my good side, right?
You do
So, like,
always ask me that. And I'm always like, oh God,
you're
do
like,
I?
I don't know. Well, Haley's wildly symmetrical, you guys, so she doesn't have a good side. But most people feel comfortable one way or the other. And if your client feels ready, or like I always say, "I'm backing up, but just so you know, I'm zoomed in." Because some people will be like sucking in, getting all uncomfortable.
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh, it's just like a close face photo." Like I say a lot of things that make them confident that they're about to look incredible in this photo. So that's one thing. I also like to back up and zoom in. That sounds like it would dilute the quality a little bit, and it slightly does. But to me, what that kind of does without like overly editing an image, it almost dilutes a little bit of like everybody has pores, everybody has fine lines, everybody has, you know, texture. And when you're further away and you zoom in, it almost blurs that a little bit. So that's kind of one of my favorite tricks too, because I feel like without making your client look like they have a filter on, it just makes everything just more polished in the photo. And then I have this handheld light that I get on Amazon that, I mean, you know all about the light.
I love the light.
There's also different color panels on that for different skin tones. So like, let's say someone's more fair and you put bronzer on them to, you know, warm them up. But if you add a warm light on top of that, then they're going to look really warm. So there's like blue plates, etc. So it's like $49. It's always on special. It's incredible. So those are like my 3 tips.
And this is on your Amazon store, right?
Yeah.
Your storefront? Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
It is. It's my absolute favorite. Joy and I are actually looking into hopefully producing maybe branded ones at the Artist Edit soon. I think that would be fun to have them in like skin tones.
What a great product for a makeup artist to create.
Yeah,
because
and
that
just
goes
selfie
hand in
girls.
hand.
Girls who just like to, you know,
Yes.
the Alex Earl light went viral, and this is a bigger version of that, but it's still handheld. So
Yeah,
I think that'd be really fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, so with that too, your grid is aesthetically pleasing. You know, when you get on your page, it just, everything flows.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a science to it. So is there something that you do to keep your grid flowing and kind of, you know, because I feel like some pages you can get on and there's different colors, different lighting, and you're like, okay, these are, you know, this is decent, but it's not like it attracts you.
Yeah. So there's a few things, and this is one of those things that I think, like hashtags that content creators get a little bit caught up on. I don't know that it makes a big difference if your page is aesthetic. I've actually heard that sometimes, more so on TikTok than Instagram, but sometimes being too aesthetic can be like a turnoff to people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about TikTok and Instagram is that beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, everything needs to be perfect, every hair needs to be in place kind of app. And then TikTok is like, I always think about TikTok as like, imagine you're in a room with your girlfriends. That's how you should be speaking on TikTok. Whereas when you're on Instagram, it's a little bit more like a social gathering, like
Yeah.
it's a different environment. So with my Instagram, when I go to look at my grid, I want all of the photos to have the same, bright, sharp coloring, and I want the text on screen to be the same. I actually just recently changed the text that I was using, but I don't really think any of that makes like a huge difference. Like, I don't know. I like to look at it. I like the way it looks, so I do it for me, but I don't know that that makes like because most people think about when you're on Instagram, you're not really going to people's pages. You're scrolling.
Seeing it as it comes
So
through, yeah.
I don't know that that's a huge deal on there. I have been told that on TikTok, though, that's not appealing to have aesthetic.
Crazy looking
Yeah,
grid. I guess, is it a grid on TikTok? Is
I
that
don't
what
know
you
actually
consider?
what it's called, but I feel like when you go to someone's TikTok page, I do think there should be titles on things so that people, if they're looking for something, can go find it. And then on TikTok, you can also make like playlists. So I just recently started posting my home renovations on TikTok, and it blew up. So now I have an entire home decor related playlist that they can go to. But I actually think my videos do better when I'm like no makeup, not curated, look an absolute mess, talking crazy, showing things with random cuts. Like I just feel like TikTok is just much less curated than Instagram.
Okay.
But that's been my personal experience. I feel like when things feel too salesy or ads kind of a thing, because I do promote brands too. So I think if things feel like that, they can seem phony, and people on TikTok call you right out if something feels salesy, So I think that's been like a learning curve too, because I started on Instagram. So having to kind of realize what performs good on one isn't going to perform good on the other sometimes, or they might both perform well. It just really depends. So
Are there specific apps that you use that you
like for
when
editing?
you're posting? Well, mostly just like planning out like what you're going to post, when you're going to post
like batching
it.
content and stuff.
Yeah. I think like Plan is one of them.
I've never used an app, but this is what I'll say is I like structure and I like knowing what to do, but I am very much, and I feel like this happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, when I'm put too structured in something like that, I feel like I can't maintain it and I get overwhelmed. So for me, I just told myself Monday is my off day. So that's the day that I'm going to do admin work at the salon. Tuesdays are going to be my content day. So I'm going to film morning to night, just get a film everything I do. And then Wednesdays, I'm going to spend all day editing. So those are my 3 days that I don't work with makeup clients. And then Thursday and Friday, I do lessons and photo shoots. Saturday, Sunday, do weddings and clients. So those 3 off days are actually my content days. So I can also like, I've been pretty MIA on social media for the last like 2 weeks just because of the holidays. And I feel like that structure also just kind of allows me to, if I'm tired, I don't have to do that, And if I've filmed the last 3 Tuesdays, I probably have 7 videos I can, throw together with random clips in my phone. So
Okay, so
That's
just
just a lot.
having like a structured schedule really is what it is. Because that was one of my questions for you too. Is how you like, do you have certain content planning days to where you create and then get it all ready to post?
So because I try and follow pages like nothing in your drafts rule, I try not to put too much in my drafts, but everything that I do, like I always joke when I'm in a group setting with the team, I'm like, everything is content. They don't call me the content queen for nothing. We're filming all of this, I was at a wedding a couple months ago, and I can't remember if it was Taylor or Hannah, but they were the one doing the bride, and I got finished first, which almost never happens because I'm one of the slowest ones. But I got my phone out and I started recording like them doing the bride and them putting up the hair and them setting the curls, and I'm like, suck in, turn this way, like get your good angles, because I'm like, every single thing you do is content, and they were able to create like 3 or 4 reels out of that. So I just recording everything. Like my phone storage hates me, right? I pay like an extra like $70 a month for my storage, but I record everything. And then I just, on Wednesday when I'm creating content, I just go through my videos from the last, months and just throw stuff together.
Yeah. And
So
everybody kind of makes fun of people that have like the tripods but you know what?
it
They're
works.
making great content
Yeah.
from that little tripod sitting there.
So when I taught my first social media course, that was the biggest chapter, was get over it. Get over
Mhm.
what people think. Who cares? If it takes you 20 minutes to set up your tripod, 10 minutes to fluff your hair, you put on lip gloss 7 times, 38 people stare at you and give you a dirty look, literally who cares?
Right.
Who cares? You'll never see those people again. If you do, it doesn't matter. You know, if people from your hometown are making fun of you because you're doing Get Ready With Me's and you have 11 followers, literally who cares?
Mhm.
Like, where's their Get Ready With Me?
Right.
You know, like I don't want to say I don't care at all what people think, because I think that would be a lie to say that. But when it comes to something that I enjoy doing, I don't care if other people think it's silly.
Yeah.
You know, like no one thought being a full-time makeup artist was possible when I was 8.
Mhm.
But my dad's apologized to me for not believing in me. So, I
Well,
mean,
that's good.
you can just do whatever you want. Who cares?
That's
It
such
really
a
doesn't
hurdle,
matter.
I feel like, because I find it in myself. Like, I'm like, oh, this person's going to see this and
Yeah.
they're going to be like, look at Haley. Like, what
Yeah.
is she doing?
Mhm.
Like, but it's like, hey, I mean, that is,
Yeah.
look at the business that you have built by getting
Yeah.
over that hurdle.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember who it was, but someone from my past, I had like heard through the grapevine that they were like, "Oh, Noelle thinks she's a TikTok star or something like that."
you're like,
And
well, I am.
I'm like, "Where's your TikTok?
Yeah.
Where's your videos?" You know, like I always, and this, not to sound, condescending, but like it's never the people who are doing great who are worried about what you're doing, ever.
I
You know?
have heard that statement often. So
It's so
so
true.
true. Yeah.
Really is.
So your biggest ones are TikTok and Instagram, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one or so I know they're different because you
Mhm.
talked on that a little bit, but what are the main differences in, like, is there one versus the other for specific industries, like that you would say, this industry would probably benefit more on TikTok, whereas like if you're wanting to do this, you would benefit more on Instagram?
I don't know that distinguishing based on industry, if there's like one that like, oh, hairstylists are better on Instagram or TikTok, etc. I think it's more so, what's your goal? If your
Okay.
goal is to gain a following and sell products and go worldwide and have followers in Asia and, all over the world, you got to go on TikTok. Instagram just doesn't have that big of a reach. I mean, it does, but it's so much harder. It's so much harder to grow on Instagram, and it's so much harder to get out of your local vicinity. But if your, goal on TikTok is, let's say you're an aspiring model and you want to, build connections here in St. Louis, or you're a bridal makeup artist and you don't necessarily want to go viral and get a bunch of followers, you want to get clients, Instagram's more beneficial. So I don't know that it's industry driven. It's
more like a local reach for Instagram. Okay.
like, what's your goal? Do you want followers? Do you want to sell products? Do you want brand deals? Do you want clients? Do you just want to post pretty things? Do you want to be very aesthetic? Do you want to be really polished? Do you want to be yourself and you don't really care?
Yeah.
It's there's so many things that go into it. My dad's a real estate coach, and he was asking me like how to get started on TikTok. You also have to have much thicker skin on TikTok, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
They are
okay.
mean out there. There's some mean ones on Instagram too, but they're more like Karens on Instagram. The people on TikTok will devour you. So if you
I wonder
don't
if it's
have
because
thick
TikTok
skin,
is just like pure personality, like what
no,
that reasoning is.
the amount of people that are on TikTok that just have fake accounts just to watch, it's like there's no accountability. Like, we don't
Okay,
know
yeah.
who,
They're hiding
Fire
behind
Marshal 897 is.
Yeah.
We don't, and there's no picture, there's no videos, and people are just, they're mean on there.
trolls.
It's horrible. It really is. I pride myself on saying I have very, very thick skin. Like, I tell my clients this all the time. Like, when they look in the mirror, if you don't like something, I promise you, it's really hard to hurt my feelings. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Like, it genuinely is hard to hurt my feelings, especially if, we don't have a close relationship. But there was one period, I would say maybe 6 months into getting a following on TikTok, where I had to take like a 2-month hiatus because it was destroying me.
Oh my gosh.
It's bad. The people in there are so mean.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it really is. And you can like get into like, cancel culture is so real. And there's so many people who are canceled for good reason. But it also almost makes you water yourself down because you're so scared of how you're going to be perceived. Like, you might say something like, oh, I don't really like this color, and it's something that you got in PR, and then someone comments, you're horrible and ungrateful, at least you get free stuff. And then you're like, oh, am I ungrateful?
Oh my
Because I didn't like that color. You know, like,
Yeah.
it makes you kind of like not, like, I almost felt like I couldn't create organic content anymore because I didn't think people would receive me in the way I was delivering it. You know, like, I didn't know how people were going to take my reaction to things. So it was rough,
So
but we
stay
got
out of
back
the
out there.
comments.
Joy actually turned her comments off.
Really? On
She-
TikTok or for
on
everything?
TikTok.
Okay.
She doesn't read them anymore. She doesn't look at them. She doesn't engage at all because she had a video go viral, 10 million views in like 2 days, something crazy like that.
Wow.
And she got like 250,000 followers in like a month. It was insane. But the comments were ridiculous, horrible, making fun of, you know, the way she talks, the way she looks, her artistry, just horrible things. So she doesn't really honestly post on there anymore. But
Gosh, that's
it's discouraging. It is. But
wow.
the amount of beautiful things that have come from my growth on social media, for me personally, outweigh that. So I'll always keep going. Joy's
The good comments outweigh the bad.
100%. And Joy's following it's on TikTok for sure. She has more followers than me, but her, like, she loves Instagram. Like, that's her baby.
Yeah.
She really, like, that's her community. I want to say her stats are like 94% local following. Like, that's
Oh my
almost unheard
gosh.
of. And I think mine's only like 38% St. Louis.
Wow.
So it's really impressive that she has like such a tight community on Instagram. So I don't think she really
Yeah.
cares about TikTok because Instagram's where she has built her brand. So
That's so great. That's so great to have such a local following. That's so strong.
her
That's
influence
amazing.
here is unreal. We always say that. As soon as Joy talks about something, it's sold out. It's
Yeah.
gone. It's booked. It's done because she does. She has a great influence.
Wow. Well, so what would you say to someone who has like 200 followers? They're wanting to build both. You can talk on both Instagram and TikTok if they're different. But how should they start building a following? And how long did it take you to get to the following that you have now? Because I mean, you have what, like 23,000 plus on Instagram, and then like 100 and
I think I just hit 100 like
plus
2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So on
That was a
TikTok,
big one.
so that's a ton.
Yeah, I feel like I said, TikTok is so much easier to grow. Like, I want to say I got 40,000 followers in like 2 months on TikTok. Like, it grew
Wow.
that quickly. And then when that started growing, like I said, it kind of transferred. I want to say I started when videos started blowing up on TikTok. I think I had 7,000 or 8,000 on Instagram, and so I guess that first video was just a little over a year ago. So just a little over a year, I've gone from 7,000 to 23,000. So for me personally, I think it depends on so many things. But like I said, my biggest piece of advice is to show up. You just show up as yourself. If your content keeps flopping, you cannot let that affect you. That's my biggest piece of advice is, you know, like I said on TikTok, it's really crucial that you're authentic and that you're genuine and that you're goofy and, you know, just yourself. And then on Instagram, I feel like if you're trying to build a brand, it needs to be a little bit more polished, but you should still enjoy it. But my biggest piece of advice is always just show up. Create content. If you're a structured person, batch it out. You know, say you're going to make 4 get ready with me's, 3 product videos, 7, you know, B-roll videos with text on screen every month. You know, like, give yourself goals. But the main goal just has to be showing up. Just post something. So that's what I always say to start, because that's what happened for me. Is I was posting a bunch of stuff to very little amount of people, and then it was a big amount of people, you know, and it just kept growing.
So the more that you're putting yourself out there, putting content out there, the more you're gaining.
Yeah, and people are like, I always say this too, like, I will meet people and they'll say things to me like, oh my gosh, I love the chandelier in your dining room. And it's like, I've never met them before. And they're like, is that so creepy that I know that? And like, that your son had grandparents' day today? And I'm like, no, it's not creepy at all. I actually love it because it makes me feel like you guys are listening to things that I think are silly, minute details in my life. And they're excited about it. They like can't wait. Or they'll send me links like, oh, this made me think of you. Like, look how cute this lamp is. And I feel like I've built a community all over the world that is invested in things that if I had listened to people, I would be like, that's silly. They don't care about my rug. But they do. Yeah. You know, so
you're inspiring, you're influencing. That's great.
Yeah. And it's organic and it's fun. And one of the things I like to remind people is the whole point of social media is to be social,
Mm-hmm.
interact, comment, reply to your DMs. If you're letting your messages, requests or whatever fill up for months and months at a time, Instagram, I don't know if this is true, but I did hear that the algorithm pushes content creators who like and respond to comments and who never leave their DMs unread.
I've seen that as well. Yeah.
So you need to be social with people on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really shows your followers like that you're not just on here promoting things, selling things, trying to get all these followers and not have any connection. Connection is the reason social media began, you know, so that's a big one.
So when you say showing up, do you feel like stories are just, I mean, you posted a lot of stories. So do you feel like those are just as important as like posting reels, posting actual posts, or
so that's
what's your take on stories, I guess is what I'm asking.
I personally love stories because I was told by a social media creator that when you're on stories, you need to be like you're on FaceTime with your best friend. And I think that's how I feel when I'm on stories is like that's actually how I talk to my best friends on FaceTime.
Which builds the connection with your followers.
And then
obviously.
I'm in my DMs and I'm having all these conversations with people because people are swiping up, you know, responding to me.
Yeah.
So for me, I think stories are important. I think every part of social media is important, but I think, again, you have to think about your goal. Are you wanting to build beautiful, meaningful connections and grow a clientele? Stories are extremely important. Imagine if you had a best friend you never called. You know, it's kind of like that. You're not investing. But if you're just trying to reach a bunch of people and get a bunch of followers and get a bunch of people to know who you are and get brands to recognize you, if that's your goal, maybe stories aren't as important. Just you want your posts to be going viral and having a big reach. So I think it just really depends what's the point of your social media account? Like, what are you trying to do?
Right.
I started with just trying to make connections. And then when my videos started going viral, then I got that second piece kind of for free, you know? So now I have the ability to do both. But I think it's when you're starting, you have to like, what's your direction? Do you want clients? Do you want following? What do you want to do with your accounts?
Okay. And so I want to talk briefly about hashtags. And is that something that you utilize? You know, how do you find the best performing hashtags?
I feel like hashtags are something, again, like the aesthetic of your grid that people get caught up on that I think have very small effects on your account. I follow a ton of social media strategists, and my favorite is Brock Johnson. I don't know if you follow him, but he is incredible. He has a good relationship with TikTok and Instagram's like algorithm teams, so he, you know, kind of spills a lot of their secrets. And he's really his information about social media doesn't feel overwhelming. So if like let's say you have ADD or you don't really, you know, you don't like to be too structured or you know that stuff overwhelms you, he makes everything so fun. But one of the things that he taught me was a big shift in the last like 2 or 3 years is that hashtags, they're still important, but SEO is the most important, which I think that stands for search engine optimization.
Yes.
And essentially it's just the words that are on the screen or in your caption. So like what is happening when you post content is that platform is trying to figure out what are you talking about. You know, like when you're scrolling on TikTok, on the bottom there's like this little search bar. And whatever's in that search bar is what TikTok has labeled your video's category. So like let's say you're doing a get ready with me. You don't put any titles on the screen. You don't caption anything. You don't put any hashtags. You're never going to get anything in that search bar. But let's say you caption the video on screen, get ready with me. That's what they're going to, you know, take it as.
Yeah.
But get ready with me's are everywhere. They're extremely saturated. So that's kind of something that, yeah, if that's all that's special about that video, like let's say the video is about a new like product launch, but no one knows about the product and you hashtag that, no one's searching that hashtag because nobody knows about that product yet, you know?
Right.
So I feel like you really have to think about like, what is the purpose of this? Like, what am I trying to say? Like when I posted my my first home video that went viral, it was my vintage mirror wall video. And I hashtagged a bunch of things about moody home decor. And then I got a ton of followers that, you know, are in like moody kind of decor aesthetic groups and they follow that. So like I was trying to shift a little bit of my following from makeup to home things. And I really wanted people who enjoyed that like dark moody aesthetic. So I made sure in all of those videos, you know, even if I'm not hashtagging it, just put it in the comment like dark and moody, you know, I don't know, just like making sure the words that you want people to search for to find your video are on there somewhere. I also was told that when there's too many, like let's say you click a hashtag and it says 27 million other videos have this hashtag, it will get lost at that point. So then they can sometimes hinder you. If you're hashtagging things like hashtag makeup, like that's so broad, that's not going to help anyone find your video.
Okay.
You know, so for me, I actually, my last 2 or 3 posts, I don't even think had hashtags, but I always make sure either on screen or in the caption, I'm saying something about, you know, like I think the last one I did was like Sephora sale 2023. Like it was just somewhere on there. I didn't necessarily hashtag it.
Okay.
So I think we get caught up on that, but I don't know that it's that important.
Yeah, because I feel like for a while there, hashtags were just everybody's like hashtag this, hashtag that, and you know you see it a little less now. So that's really why I wanted to ask that and see you know how important that still was to make sure you're gaining your specific audience that you're wanting to hit. So
I don't think it can hurt you greatly. Like I don't think it's like a faux pas if you do it, but I don't think it's important.
Okay. And so I want to talk about monetization.
Yeah.
Because I know that you have been getting PR from brands and just different brand deals.
Yeah.
And so if you can talk a little bit about that, like how someone can target specific brands, whether they're a business owner or just a social media influencer that is like, hey, I have all this following, like I want to monetize.
Yeah. The number one thing you have to do is you have to put your email in your bio. Like that's like a no-brainer because most brands are not going to DM you. Most of their social media managers are not their PR people. Those are totally separate teams, and people who are managing their PR probably don't have access to their social media. So the way that they're contacting influencers is like, you know, I can guarantee the social media team is like, hey, I want to, you know, try and utilize this influencer, this one. And then they just give your name to so-and-so with your contact that they find in your link tree and then just pass that information on to like PR teams. So for me, if you're just expecting all of these brands to pop up in your DMs like, hey, you're awesome, that's not going to happen. The only way brands contact you is legitimate brands. I should say that. There's a lot of like scams and, you know, things that will come in
like,
your DMs.
Hey, I want you to be an ambassador.
Yeah, and you get 10% commission.
Company.
Yeah. You just have to post 27 videos and here's 3 pair of sunglasses.
I think the first time I received one of those, I was so excited. I'm like, oh, I'm doing something.
Yes. So I was actually just talking about that with one of the girls on my team. She always sends me screenshots of like, is this legit? Is this legit? And most of the time it's not. You really have to be careful with those scams out there. But putting your email in your bio or creating like, I think I have a link tree, or maybe it's either Linktree or Links VIP, but I just have like a link thing in my bio. So now every brand, there's a brand collab button. They can go to it and they know exactly how to contact me.
So just making it easy for a brand to get to you.
If it's hard for them to figure out how to get in contact with you, there's 1,000 more of you that they're going to look at in the next 5 minutes. So it's really, really important to do that. And then also every single time you create any kind of content, tag every single brand. Like when my home decor videos started going viral, the number one question I got asked was, what color is that paint? Because I painted my whole house like chocolate brown and black. And those are pretty unique colors to put in your house. And so everyone was like, what's that exact tone? I used all Sherwin-Williams. And I probably got asked what color my walls were 500 times. Every single time they asked me, I tagged Sherwin-Williams and then put the name. Every single time.
In the comments or,
And then Sherwin-Williams started following me and liking all of my comments, which that's a paint company. What are they going to send me? I don't know. Probably nothing. But I just think it's really, really important. Like on stories today, someone's like, what lip gloss is that? And, you know, I send them their page and then I'll go comment on their most recent post. You know, just use this on my last bride or something. Like I'm a little bit, I would say I go above and beyond to like really get brands' attentions, especially when I love the brand. I will ride for them so hard.
But it works because if your name's constantly popping up to them, they're like, okay, clearly this girl.
Jacqueline Cosmetics was actually a brand that I wanted to be on her PR list so bad. I know she's a little controversial. Some people don't love her, but she has one product that I'm just obsessed with, and I have it like stocked up for the next 8 years. So I didn't necessarily need that in PR, but I definitely just wanted like to try her new launches and just to be on her PR list. So I started a series on TikTok called using one of my favorite Jacqueline products every day until I annoy them so badly that they add me to the PR list. And I think it took like 7 videos, 7 days. And they emailed me and asked for my address. So then I got on her PR list, and now I've gotten her last like 2 or 3 launches. So it's been really cool. But it's honestly awesome. Like just be annoying, tag them in everything. They get hundreds of thousands of notifications a day. And if you're 87 of the 100, they'll notice you.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
wow. That's awesome, though, that you landed the
Yeah.
brand that you wanted. That's
Mhm.
great.
I'm still working on Anastasia Beverly Hills. That's my dream one right now. So,
Ooh,
and Laura Mercier. Those are the
Yeah.
two that, like, for me, if a brand reaches out, I think it's really, really important to maintain authenticity when promoting things. So the amount of brand deals that I turn down is not something that I talk about a lot, but there's a lot. I would say I get maybe 3 to 4 emails a day of brands reaching out wanting to do
Wow.
things. And most of them don't meet my requirements for like rates or like what they want delivered, but I turn down brands constantly. And it's really important to me that I'm only promoting products that I love. So for me, what I like to do is reach out to brands that I already love, because I don't have to be like learning to love your new products. I already love you. I already promote you for free. I tell all of my clients to buy you. I put you in all of my students' like products list. So those are the brands that I really annoy, because I'm like, I'm already promoting you for free.
I like that.
So
I feel that because I'm an ambassador for a couple of things, and I do it because I believe in the product. I use the product. I love it. So it's so easy for me to talk about it.
it's organic.
Yeah, because it's authentic, organic, and you want to see the product succeed on its own. So but you have some launches and exciting things coming up too.
Yes.
So if you can talk a little bit about some of the things that are coming up for you.
Yeah. So I am on a team there's 6 of us, 6 makeup artists. We have a makeup studio. It's called The Artist Edit. It is on Watson. You've been there a few times.
I'm a serial client.
I love it. And we sell makeup brushes, and we sell lashes, and we sell makeup sponges. So we have an artistry set that's out. It's 21 brushes. We have an everyday set that's for a little bit more simple makeup. That's a 10 brush set. And then we sell, like I said, beauty sponges. And then we have a couple fun things coming out. It's all still very much in the works and very new. But Joy is actually getting married in a year and a half. And we're really wanting to launch like a bridal kit. So we want like a bridal lash, like a specific lash that Joy is going to wear on her wedding day. And then a lip kit. So we want like a liner, a gloss, a lipstick. That's, I want to say we'll probably come out with like 3 shades, like a light, medium, dark. And we're very much neutral. That's our brand. So it'll probably be shades of nude. But I think a lip kit is what's in the works for now.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And so you have a couple like masterclass things launching too. You and Joy, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We're both launching a masterclass, and it's so funny because we have been teasing these for, I would say, almost a year. I actually think I recorded it last January. So, oh my gosh, I guess it has been a full year.
I think people don't understand that these things take that long, though.
They really do.
It's so much that goes into it.
It's so much. And I think when I undertook this, I don't think I understood that I'm simultaneously doing full-time social media. I'm a mom. We opened the Edit in July, so I opened a storefront with my co-owner, and it wasn't like I was just working on that. And I will say every single other responsibility in my life took precedence over that, but we're at like the finish line. I would say, it's definitely going to be the year of 2024. It's for sure coming out. I cannot push it again. But it is an 8 or 9, I can't remember, 8 or 9 chapter course that touches on how to build your makeup business and how to build your social media and how to effectively communicate with your clients. So there's a little bit of skill and demonstration in there, but a lot of it is business building and a lot of it is communication with your clients. Joy is also launching one, and hers is, I want to say, 2 or 3 times longer than mine. And it's very much about, Joy loves to build like really strong connections with her clients, and hers goes into like the psychology of body language with your clients. Wow. And like hers is really, really, it's really deep. It's skill-based too. I think she does 3 makeup demonstrations, but she goes really, really deep in the internal and the nitty-gritty. And mine's really quick, straight to the point, business-focused, social media-focused, and hers is really deep and intimate, which I think really showcases our
I was
personalities
just
too.
gonna say.
Because that's very much the difference between Joy and I. So I'm excited. I think we're probably both going to launch in, around the same time. And I think a lot of people were kind of wondering, like, why are you both releasing one? Or like, what's kind of the difference? And I think that's a big one, is Joy's is a lot more in depth and true to who she is. And you will hear some overlapped information. We have to remember that Joy is my trainer and mentor. So we do things very similarly. So when it comes to the skill, it's, neck and neck, same techniques and things. But the behind the scenes of building a business versus maintaining a loyal clientele, you're kind of getting different tastes there.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And I love that it's kind of encompassing like everything of being a business owner and a makeup artist, because I mean, I don't really know, because I'm not a makeup artist and I don't search for master classes in those categories, but it feels like it's usually just, okay, this is how you apply the makeup in that industry. It's not so much like, this is how you run a business with it. So
I'm excited about that, because Joy and I, we've actually bought and watched a few master classes together. And every time we watch them, we're like, wow, this is really like beginner skill based. I really think our master courses are going to be so different than what people are expecting. Like when I first announced that I was launching one, someone was like, I hope you teach us how to put on eyeliner. And I'm like, that, there'll be a little demonstration there, but that's not the goal of these classes. And I really hope that, in the way that I market it as it comes out, that's clear.
Okay. So this is more not for the client, it's more geared towards the makeup artist,
business owners in general.
Okay.
I would say the demonstration chapter and then the client communication chapter, which that actually could be beneficial as well to business owners. But I would say 2 or 3 chapters maybe business owners could skip because they're makeup focused. But the rest I think is just really beneficial as a business owner, especially someone trying to build social media.
Well, I cannot wait for this launch for you. I'm
so excited.
This is awesome. Very awesome. So where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where is the best place to reach out to you? And then, of course, follow along and wait for the launch for everything.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Noelle Glam MUA. And then I tried to keep all of my branding the same. So my TikTok is also Noelle Glam MUA, but there's an underscore because it was already taken. So it's Noelle Glam MUA _ for TikTok. But those are the 2 places that, I'm on social media every day. So I answer my message requests every Monday. So if we're not already, talking in Messenger, it'll go there. But I never let a message sit for more than 7 to 10 days maybe. So social media is definitely the way to find me.
Awesome. And the artist edit too.
Yes.
Where can we go on that website?
So the artisteditstl.com is where you can book appointments, book bridal, you can meet the team, you can come see the space, you can come shop products. We sell online and in store. So you can do like order pickups, or if you're local, or you can get them delivered. But yeah.
And every person there is so incredibly talented. I follow the artist edit, and I think I follow every artist there. And I swear every post, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just killing it all the time.
Yeah.
So
we pride ourselves on the fact that whenever you see our clients, I feel like you can tell that they were done at the artist edit.
As a wedding photographer too, like I've done a few with you guys now, and like the bridal party, they just have a whole look. You guys are a brand. Like you can tell the difference. Like you said, you know who did your makeup and hair.
I love it. And whenever we're busy, I feel so confident that I can refer any of my clients to any of the other 5 girls, so I think that's really special too.
That is absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this information about social media. And you're an incredible business owner. You're an amazing makeup artist. So I'm really excited to see what is next for you, for the Artist Edit, for Joy, and everybody at the Artist Edit.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
As always, I appreciate you all so much for listening. My goal is for these episodes to at least help one person in some aspect of their life. So if you like what you hear, don't forget to follow, like, subscribe to the show, as well as follow us on social media at Inside Voice Pod. Thanks.